In the hush before the storm light, when the world forgets to breathe, when the cold of distant hatred curls beneath the trembling eaves, I heard a voice behind the velvet of the darkened air, a whisper shaped like longing, drifting low as if in prayer. And it called to something fractured deep inside my weary chest, where the memories of conflict clawed against my need for rest. Oh, I walk the ruins softly through the remnants of despair, following that haunted murmur, half in sorrow, half in death. There upon a broken balcony of marble, pale and worn, stood a figure cloaked in twilight like a secret never sworn. Shadow draped across one side as if it guarded sacred truth. Light caressed the other cheek with the softness once called youth. He sang of worlds unraveling, of the cracks in human hearts, of the ache of ancient battles, of the echo of their starts. Yet beneath the mournful timbre I could feel a tender plea, a yearning for the quiet where our souls could finally be free. And I reached for him with trembling, though I feared the scars he bore. But he leaned into the gesture as if he'd waited long before. In the silence between heartbeats, fragile peace began to form, a promise written wordlessly inside the coming storm. Sing, oh world, restless fire, sing of hope that will not die. Lift your battered voice to heavens, let forgiveness touch the sky. For the hands once bound by fury can be gentled by embrace, and the eyes once dimmed by sorrow can still shine with saving grace. Let the passion of the broken be a lantern in the night, guiding us towards that distant dawn where wrong may turn to right. Oh, we struggle through the shadows, but our hearts still rise above. For the earth is built on longing, and the answer may be love. Of a childhood where the world had closed its doors, where the cries of endless conflict filled the cracks between the floors. How he learned to wrap his wounds inside the fabric of a song. How he vanished into darkness just to feel a little strong. Yet as he sang I felt the trembling of a truth he could not hide, that beneath the mask of fury lived a heart still soft inside. And as dawn unveiled the rafters with a glow both faint and warm, I saw the war within him fading like the remnants of a storm. We wandered through the shattered halls where silence used to reign, tracing every faded carving like survivors of the rain. He asked me why humanity builds walls around its fear, why we sharpen all our sorrows into weapons we revere. I answered with a whisper that we fight because we break, and we cling to ruined power when we fear what peace might take. But his voice in gentle fury rose like thunder taught to weep. Then teach me how to dream again, for dreaming runs too deep. So I offered him my heartbeat, steady rhythm, mortal brave. And he placed his trembling fingers where the music learned to save. In the quiet of confession as our shadows intertwined, too weary hungry souls found refuge in the refuge of the mind. Sing a world of restless fires, sing of futures yet unknown, where the cries of war grow distant as we claim the peace we're owed. From the ruins of our anguish, may a gentler kingdom rise, carved not by the edge of violence, but by tears we dare to cry. Let the lovers lost in darkness find the courage to return, for the world rebuilds in harmony when wounded spirits yearn. Oh, we struggle through the shadows, but we walk this path as two, for the earth still turns toward mercy when the heart remembers truth. I fear the world will break you as it broke the ones before. Then hold my voice within you when your faith can't hold the door. If peace is but a fragile thread, it slips through trembling hands, then weave it with your longing, and we'll make the thread withstand. For love is not a weakness, but a vow the brave ignite, a candle born of ruin that still dares to cast its light. The orchestra swells, strings like rushing rivers, brass like dawn beginning to roar, percussion rolling like thunder, echoing through marble floors. As their voices rise, trembling and immense. And when twilight draped the world again in silver wounded calm, he asked if peace was possible, if love could be the balm. I touched the fading shadow that still lingered on his face, tracing every fragile border where the darkness feared its grace. Peace begins, I softly answered, when the broken dare to stand, when the longing for an ending meets the reaching of a hand. He closed his eyes and breathed as though releasing centuries of ache, and in that quiet moment something holy seemed to wake. Of a restless city, I heard a lonely voice drift through smoke and broken stars. It wrapped around the chimneys like a sorrow that refused to die, calling me toward the shadows. There he stood, half in moonlight, half in the ruins of his past, his cloak trembling in the wind like a wounded knight. He sang of a world trapped in endless conflict, of hearts that no longer remembered how to hope. Yet beneath his darkness was a plea I felt in my bones. Help me believe peace is possible. I step closer, breath unsteady, I hear them, I said, all the cries for mercy reached for my hand like someone afraid of his own longing. If we cannot change the world, he whispered, do we disappear into silence? No, I answered, the first battle is inside us. Let our voices rise above the steel and sirens. Let them carry the sorrow the cannons never fear. once sang for the powerful who loved beauty but not truth when they refused to change. He hid himself in the rafters of the world. I still write for a future I may never see, he said. Then let's write it together, I replied. How can two broken voices shift an entire planet? He asked. Peace starts small, I said. One softened heart can open another. He studied me as though searching for a homeland in my eyes. For a moment the mask of thunder slipped, and I saw the gentleness beneath. The wind circled us like a question waiting for an answer. Let our voices echo through ruins and pride. Let this fragile vow flood the barricades inside. We are not the end of sorrow, but we can be the rain that wakes a sleeping field and washes old bitterness away. I was taught to close my eyes to despair.
I was taught
to survive by turning numb.
Yeah, now we stand on the edge of fate with a single trembling breath.
If we hold it, maybe the world will feel it too. Below us, sirens wailed like ghosts of failed truces. Yet above them I heard a softer tone, hope in each stone. You are not the sum of battles, I told him. You are the silence after thunder, where new life grows. He looked down at the city, millions of windows glowing like uncertain stars. If they saw us here, I said maybe they'd believe peace can start with two. He touched the mask, hiding half his face. I wore this to survive, he whispered, but now it feels like a cage. Take it off, I urged, not for them, for you. Peace begins inside the chambers of the heart. No treaty survives if the inner walls remain unbroken. If we ignite with courage, we may burn away mistrust. Peace on earth grows where two frightened souls refuse to hate.
If the sky stays red, I'll still choose your whisper.
If the world calls kindness foolish, I will not turn away. We will sing for every life touched by war, until silence learns to echo our vow. Mercy can outlive thunder. The wind exhaled around us as the city kept turning. No crowds witnessed our promise, yet something shifted far below. A soldier lowering his hand, a stranger choosing gentler words. Two lovers stood above a world that still loved thunder, proving that peace can blossom quietly from the daring of a single fragile heart. night after our vow, the city stirred as if waking from a long, uneasy dream. Down in the narrow streets, someone heard our rooftop song drifting through the smog. A soft thread of hope weaving its way between shattered bricks and trembling windows. A young woman paused beneath a flickering lamp, clutching groceries to her chest. She had long stopped believing the world could change. Grief had made her small, but the melody from above wrapped around her like a warm, impossible hand. Two voices singing for peace, she whispered as if afraid it would vanish. Across the square, an old man sweeping dust from broken stone looked up to. For years he had watched arguments bloom into violence, watched fear replace trust. But something in that distant harmony felt familiar, as if someone somewhere still remembered the kindness the world had forgotten. In a dim apartment, a soldier home from a distant border froze mid-step. He had carried the weight of orders he didn't believe in, wondering whether peace was simply a story people told to survive. Yet that haunting duet from above pierced him like gentle lightning. He leaned against the wall and let himself feel everything he'd buried. And the city breathed deeper, windows cracked open, hearts cracked open. People who hadn't spoken in months shared glances of fragile wonder. It was as though the rooftops had become a cathedral, and the song, our song, was a prayer slipping into every forgotten corner. Let the world hear this trembling melody, carried by strangers who refuse to surrender hope. Let it rise between alleys and towers, reminding every hidden heart that peace can begin with one note, then another, then two souls daring to stand unafraid. Back on the rooftop, he asked, "Do you think they heard us?" I nodded toward the shifting glow below. "Not just with their ears," I whispered, "with their longing." He stepped closer, the last of his armor falling in the wind. "Then the world is already changing," he said, "even if it doesn't know our names." The city hummed in response, a low rising chord of footsteps, whispers, soft awakenings. The thunder of old hatred quieted for a moment, replaced by something like collective breath. If our voices can soften one wounded spirit, then let the night carry us farther. If our song can reach the broken and the lost, I will sing it until my darkness fades. For the world does not change through force, but through the courage of hearts that dare to feel again. Beneath us, a small child climbed onto a balcony, listening as though hearing the universe speak for the first time. Behind her, two adults paused mid-argument, quieted by the strange beauty threading through the air. A single chord lingered, neither triumphant nor sorrowful, but full of possibility. Let this city come a lantern, glowing with every soul touched by that fragile vow. Let the melody ripple across borders, overseas, through cages, into frightened dreams, until peace feels not like myth, but something close enough to reach. As the rooftops dimmed and dawn arrived, we stood together, watching light gather around the waking world. No applause, no proclamation, only the knowledge that something had begun. For somewhere deep within the city, a single heart whispered, maybe kindness can win.
The morning after our rooftop fell, I walked alone through the waking streets. Shadows stretched long across the stones, carrying rumors of conflict, though the world still trembled with old fears. I felt a quiet fire rising in me, the certainty that peace begins where courage is born. The sky was dim with smoke and sunrise, and every face I passed wore the weight of yesterday's wounds. Yet something fragile shimmered in the air, as if the city remembered the song we had sung. I held it inside my chest, a soft, stubborn spark, refusing to die. And I thought of him standing half in darkness, half in the hope he barely dared to claim. If he could believe in light through all he'd endured, then I could carry that light further. I will not let the world go dark. I will rise above the sirens, above the shouting, above the fear. If only one heart listens, that is enough to begin. I will sing for mercy where violence sleeps. I will breathe out hope where hatred grows. Let the world doubt me, I will not let the world go dark. I passed cracked windows glowing faintly, families whispering worries over breakfast tables, workers clutching their coats like armor, children learning too young what danger means. Their quiet lives became my vow. If peace must start in silence, then I will be the voice that fills that silence. Even if no one sees me, even if no banner carries my name, I will stay. rise from the ruins of his shadows. So can I, so can all of us. A breeze carried distant whispers, traces of others finding courage through our song. Small changes, quiet choices, a softened word, a lowered weapon, a tear shed instead of a blow struck. These humble things build the world we dream of. I close my eyes and let the city breathe through me. Let its heartbeat mingle with mine. This is where peace begins, I murmured, not in marble halls, but here, in the simple decision to care. I will not let the world go dark. I will stand on every rooftop, every street corner, every trembling place where fear has taken root. I will sing for the ones who have forgotten hope, for the ones who never felt it, for the ones who tried and fell. Let every whisper dream of kindness find its way into the open. Let every hidden heart rise from the dust, as long as one voice still sings for peace. The night can never fully claim us. And even if the world falters, even if the shadows gather again, I will hold that fragile spark between my palms and carry it into the next dawn. For love has chosen me, and I will not let the world go dark. The night deepened, and with it came whispers of unrest. Rumors moved through the city like cold wind fights, breaking out in the squares, fear rising again. I felt the weight of it pressing against my ribs. Peace is never won in a single moment. It must be carried again and again through storms. I walked through streets lit only by trembling lanterns, each flame like a frightened soul clinging to hope. Voices argued in doorways, shadows braced for conflict. Every step felt like walking through the memories of a wound. But I kept going, breath steady, heart bright. For if love cannot walk through fire, how can it change anything at all? His trembling vow, his haunted eyes, the spark inside him fighting to stay alive. If he can rise from the ashes of his past, then so can the world. I must believe that I will be the heart that walks through fire, the voice that stands when the night grows cruel. I will hold the line where fear divides us and refuse to step back into silence. Let the world rage, I will not surrender love. I will carry peace forward which way. Their fury was the kind born from exhaustion, from hopelessness, from living in a world too loud with pain. I step between them gently, my voice a soft thread, pulling at the seams of anger. Please, I whispered, don't give your grief another life. They blinked, startled, not convinced, but listening. A beginning. I am no warrior with armor. My strength is small, human, fragile, but it is real. If a single breath of tenderness can interrupt a cycle of harm, then I will breathe it 1,000 times. I will be the heart that walks through fire, the flame that refuses to be stamped out. If despair spreads like storm clouds, then let my voice be lightning, brief but bright enough to show another way through darkness. I will not retreat from the world I hope to heal. There were times I wanted to hide, times I believed love was too soft for a world carved by iron. But he looked at me, not as a savior, not as an answer, but as someone who reminded him what humanity feels like. And in that reflection, I discovered my own courage, not the loud kind, the steady kind, the kind that reaches out even when it fears being broken. I found a quiet corner beneath a cracked stone arch and lifted my voice to the night. Not a grand aria, just a single trembling melody, a lullaby for a wounded world. And as I sang, the streets seemed to breathe, the air grew gentler, and the city listened as if longing for someone to tell it it could still be said. I will be the heart that walks through fire, the song that survives the storm. I will stand for mercy when every voice around me falters. Let the world tremble, I will remain, for love is not the echo of weakness, but the birthplace of change. I will walk through fire again and again, so long as even one soul believes peace is worth the journey. And when he joins me, when our voices rise together again, the night itself will bend, not in fear but in wonder, for the world will hear that even in fire, the heart can choose light.
tried to carry the lone night, wrapped itself around the rooftops like a cloak. I once knew well, I stood where the shadows used to protect me, where silence once felt safer than hope. But now the world below trembled again. Voices rising, fear spreading like cracks in stone. And I felt the old darkness calling me back. I almost answered. Beams above the streets, hearing echoes of battles I never wished to survive. Every footstep felt heavier, as if each memory clung to my ankles, begging to be dragged into the future I had spent so long believing that suffering was the only thing I could offer. But then she came, a light I didn't dare touch. Her voice still lingers in my chest, warm as dawn against cold iron. She believes I can change, but belief is a burden when you fear you're too broken to deserve it. How do I hold this love when my shaped by sorrow? How do I walk toward peace after spending years inside the storm? I tried to carry the world alone, its grief, its rage, its endless noise. But now I see that the weight was never mine to bear. I must learn to be gentle with the part of me that still believes in lies. Below me, the city pulsed with unease. People rushing, arguing, bracing for the worst. I felt my old instincts stir, to hide, to vanish, to let the world collapse without risking my heart again. But then I remembered her face, her certainty that one softened soul can soften another. She walks through fire as if born for it, her courage quiet, steady, real. If she can stand unshaken in the ruins, then surely I can take one step toward the man she sees in me. How do I hold this love when the past still whispers warnings? How do I speak of peace with a voice taught only to mourn? I tried to shoulder every burden, very broken vow of humanity, but her hand in mine makes the impossible feel less cruel. Maybe healing is not weakness, maybe hope is not a lie. There are nights I fear I will fail her, nights I fear the darkness in me will rise again. But then I hear her singing somewhere in the city, soft as forgiveness, bright as a lantern in fog. She sings not because she is fearless, she sings through fear. That reminds me that bravery is not perfection, but persistence. I touch the mask I once hid behind, a relic of the battles I never chose. It felt heavier tonight, as if asking to be set down once and for all. So I lifted it from my face and placed it on the cold stone, not as surrender, as rebirth. How do I hold this love? By accepting that I am worthy of it. letting her light become mine. I no longer carry the world alone. Her voice steadies mine. Her hope becomes my compass. If the night rises against me, I will rise too. Not as a ghost of sorrow, but as someone finally learning to choose the dawn. And when I return to her, when our voices join again, the city will know that even the most wounded heart can become a bridge between fear and mercy. Tonight the streets are too quiet, the kind of quiet that trembles before a storm. The city holds its breath, waiting to see which way humanity will turn. And I feel the pulse of it inside my ribs, like a warning or a promise. Square where lanterns flicker like dying stars, and every shadow feels like a memory the world is afraid to face. Rumors of unrest echo down the alleys. Fear moves quickly when hope is fragile, but I keep moving because standing still feels too much like surrender. There was a time I believed nothing I did mattered, that the world was too vast, too wounded for my voice to make any difference. But then love found me, unexpected, trembling, real, and reminded me that change begins in the smallest of breaths. When the world stands at the edge, I will not turn away. I will raise my voice above the breaking, above the fear, above the doubt. Let the night test me, I will answer with resolve. For even one heart choosing peace can shift the fate of thousands. Tonight I feel the weight of choices this city has not yet made. Doors closed in fear, windows glowing with worry, children dreaming uneasy dreams. I wish I could hold them all and promise dawn will be kinder, but I am only one voice, and yet sometimes one voice is enough. I remember the rooftop vow, the trembling hands, the fragile hope that sparked like dawn between two wounded souls. If love can bloom in the darkest chambers of the heart, then surely peace can bloom in the quiet corners of a broken world. When the world stands at the edge, I will not step back. I will sing until the silence shatters, until fear loses its crown. Let the shadows gather, I will hold my ground for the smallest spark hearts are waiting for a reason to hope again. So I lift my voice into the night, not loud, not triumphant, just honest. A single thread of melody woven through the city's trembling breath. And somewhere in the distance I hear another voice answer, the one who stands beside me, even when shadows stands at the end. I will choose the light, will sing for you. Losing heart, every frightened soul, every forgotten dream. Let the night shake, I will not fall, for peace begins the moment one voice says, this darkness ends here. And as the city listens, as quiet stirs from window to window, I know we are not alone. The world is fragile, but so is dawn. And dawn always learns to return.
Unrest in the city rose like a distant tide, and I felt its pressure in my chest long before I heard its sound. Tonight the world trembled, not from violence, but from the fear that violence might return. And I knew I had to sing, not for him alone, for everyone who stood on the edge of losing hope. I walked through the heart of the city, where shadows curled around broken archways, and anxious footsteps echoed like warning bells. Faces passed me tired, worried, bracing for the worst, yet each gaze held a spark, the kind that lights only when people secretly wish to believe in something better. I carried their unspoken prayers like lanterns within me. I thought of him, the one who learned to trust light, even after living in darkness for so long. His courage taught me this truth: peace survives only when someone chooses to protect it. Tonight I choose, let me be the echo that refused to fade, the voice that holds the trembling heart of the world. If the night grows fierce, I will answer with light. If fear rises like thunder, I will rise louder than my fear. For hope is not fragile, it only needs someone beginning of change. He sang with a voice cracked by sorrow, yet inside it was a seed of dawn. If his shadows can become music, then surely this city can become something brighter than its past. The wind carried the harmony farther than I expected. Windows open, children leaned out, listening. An old woman wiped her eyes as though remembering something gentle she thought the world had lost. I sang for them, for all the forgotten corners where peace waits to be invited. Let me be the echo that refused to fade, the vow that rings across rooftops and restless nights. I will lift this melody for every soul afraid to dream, for every heart aching to believe that gentleness can still win. If the world trembles tonight, so will I, but I will tremble forward, not back. For as long as one voice rises in hope, the night will never truly own us. And somewhere behind me, I felt his presence, quiet, listening, proud. Our stories are not finished. The world is not finished, and neither is this song. So long as someone, somewhere needs to hear it.
The city felt different tonight, as if every rooftop held its breath with me. Even the wind seemed unsure, caught between carrying fear and carrying hope. I stood where shadows once kept me safe, realizing they no longer felt like home. I looked across the skyline where distant lanterns flickered like fragile souls, waiting for a sign the world wasn't falling apart. And I felt that old weight return, the belief that I was meant only to haunt, to hide, to hurt. But her voice still echoed in my chest, soft as mercy, strong as truth. She sees a promise in me I never dared believe in. If I turn away now, the darkness will not just reclaim me, it will reclaim everything because I am done letting fear decide my fate. If the world trembles at the edge, I will not step back, I will rise, I will stand, I will be the voice that says, this night will not win. Below me the city braced itself, whispers rushing like a tide of dread. People clustered in doorways, hoping nothing would ignite. I felt their fear as if it were my own. For years I believed I was part of the danger, a creature shaped by sorrow. But now I see a different path opening before me, and it begins with one choice: to believe I can help. She taught me that peace doesn't start in nations, it starts in hearts. If mine is healing, then maybe others can too. Tonight I choose the light. If the shadows grow bold, I will not return to them. I will stand for tenderness. Even when the world shakes, let the night test me. I will answer with hope, for the smallest shift in a wounded soul can change the fate of many. I once wore darkness like armor, believing gentleness was weakness. But love stripped that lie from me. Her courage called out the truth buried in my ruins, that I am more than scars, more than ghosts, more than my past. If she can face fire unbroken, then I can face my own reflection without turning away. My voice into the trembling wind, letting it carry what words could not. A vow to the city, to her, to myself. A vow that I will fight, not with blade or bitterness, but with the strength it takes to stay open in a world that rewards closing. Tonight I choose the light, not the easy path, not the quiet one, but the honest one. If fear spreads like wildfire, let my song be rain. If hatred rises like thunder, let my heart be the reply. For I will not vanish into shadow again. I will rise with the dawn and help it break. And somewhere beyond the rooftops, I felt her listening, a warmth guiding me forward. We are two voices in a shaken world, but together we are enough to begin the dawn. The night was trembling, the world holding its breath as if standing on a knife's edge. Yet somewhere deep beneath the fear, a pulse of hope began to rise. Steady, quiet, unstoppable. From opposite ends of the city, We walked toward the central square, drawn not by fate, but by the vow we had carried alone for too long.
I stepped through the fading shadows, my heartbeat echoing through narrow streets where lanterns flickered like weary prayers all around. Faces emerged from doorways, hope flickering soft in their eyes. My voice rose gently, a thread of dawn weaving through the trembling air.
Across the square I entered the light, as if shedding centuries of sorrow. People watched, stunned, a figure once hidden, now standing unafraid. Her melody reached me first, and in it I felt my own courage awaken.
We walked to the center of the square as whispers turned into breathless stillness.
Two voices rising from the ruins, not perfect, not powerful, but real. And real was enough.
Dawn will have its answer when we stand unbroken.
Let the night tremble, its reign is ending. From every wounded heart to every frightened soul, we lift this vow. Peace begins when even one voice chooses love.
I saw the crowd begin to soften. Neighbors once divided, now stepping closer, letting their fear loosen its grip. My voice swelled with theirs, gentle yet unyielding.
I felt the city shift beneath my feet, a quiet turning, a fragile awakening. I sang not for redemption, but for the truth. I finally believed the world can change, because we can change.
We are not here to conquer, we are here to heal.
We are not here to command, we are here to remind
every weary soul that tenderness is not a weakness, it is survival.
And as we sang, voices from windows, rooftops, alleys rose to join us, hundreds becoming thousands.
A chorus born from courage, not command. Dawn will have its answer.
The answer is us.
Let the storm falter.
Let the shadows break.
For every heart that rises, for every soul that listens,
This world becomes less afraid.
peace unfolds when love refuses to disappear.
We walk through fire to reach this moment.
We learn to trust the fragile parts.
Now let the daylight find us, hand in hand, unmasked, unafraid.
For the night no longer owns us. The dawn belongs to those who dare to hope.
Dawn will have its answer.
And the answer is light.
From silence to song,
From sorrow to healing, we rise together.
let the world remember this moment.
When fear lost its crown, when love found its voice, when peace stepped forward and claimed the day. The dawn has come.
with us.